Hello and welcome back to the free online woodworking school bookstand series. In this video, we're going to get the back leg in place, the shelf in place, get it all sanded and finished. So I've just got everything laid out on this mat. This is like a yoga mat kind of thing, but you can also use a doormat or something like that. We just want something so when we're sanding this, the bench underneath isn't burnishing or scratching the wood. But we're going to get all of this pre-sanded in separate parts, because if we stick the shelf on now, then we're going to have created this kind of annoying corner that we're not going to be able to sand into. So it makes much more sense to just do all of this now, get the edges rounded and all that. So you can of course do this with a random orbit sander. In fact, this will work really well in areas like this where we've got two grain directions joining together at 90 degrees, because the random orbit pattern on this will stop cross grain scratches from appearing. The places you need to be careful when using a random orbit sander is long narrow edges like this, where it's very easy to accidentally pillow them over. Now if you like that rounded pillowed effect that a random orbit sander may accidentally give you, then by all means go for it. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. But if you're wondering how to take your woodworking to the next level, high-end craftsmanship tends to focus a lot on the finishing touches, and what craftspeople tend to be able to do is maintain perfectly flat surfaces, perfectly flat edges, and just take off that final chamfer to keep everything looking clean and crisp. As soon as edges start pillowing and rounding, you lose the kind of precision in the look of the final piece, and instead it becomes that sort of rustic look or something akin to that. Not to say either of them are right, but if you want the precision, go for flatness. If you want a more homey feel, just go for it with a random orbit sander. But seeing as this is a limited tools project, we're just going to do the entire thing with a sanding block. So this is 120 grit, and I'm not worried too much about the cross grain scratches at this point. We just want to clean all of this up, and we'll focus on removing those later. And so before we move up to the next grit, we're going to get rid of the cross grain scratches that have appeared from me sort of doing this around this area. And we do that by just mimicking a random orbit sander and just do random circular motions all over the piece, and do it with very light pressure as well, because if you push too hard, then you are just going to create circular cross grain scratches. If you just do it very lightly and be patient with it, eventually you will see them disappear. Right, so now we're up to 180, and I'm just going to continue with these long strokes. And again, this is going to create cross grain scratches, but now they're only 180 grit cross grain scratches rather than 120. So as long as you're removing the 120 grit scratches with circular ones and then going across with this again, we'll then remove them with the 180 grit, jump up to the 240 and just repeat it like that. You know, you can be all pedantic with this and try and stop right up to the join, but you'll just be there for ages. You'll inevitably end up crossing the boundary anyway and creating a scratch. You might as well just do this and then remove the cross grain scratches after. So I've just gone and done exactly the same on the back, all the way up to 240, finishing with circular patterns on the perpendicular grain. Now we're doing the edges, long even strokes to this, and these are nice and straightforward, 120. Once all of the gauge lines and other gunk that you've got on there is removed, jump up a grit. And then once you finish with that, finish up with 240. 240 tends to be the highest I go to for most finishing. With open grain woods like oak, realistically you could finish on 180 if you wanted. But cherry, maple, even walnut can usually benefit from going all the way up to 240, I find. Anything more than that and you'll probably end up just burnishing the grain, and it will make it harder for the finish to soak in, but that depends on the finish you're using. So now that edge is up to 240 grit. We just got to be careful on these corners because they will be razor sharp now that we've sanded the two faces there. And so what we do is, well, what I personally do is come along with the 240 grit, or the final one, and just do a couple of strokes on that corner just to remove the sharp bit, but still maintain that sharp, crisp look. So next we're going to do the ends of the book stand. This is a pretty clean finish on here. There's some potential saw marks, or that might be medullary rays in the cherry, not entirely sure. So we'll just give it a quick sand to remove all of those. But again, I'm being really careful not to pillow this over too much. Okay, so we're taking that to 240. Now we'll just go along and take off the sharp corners with that same grit. So it still has the sharp look, but without actually being sharp. So that's the front face, the back face, the top face and the bottom face all sanded. And of course, because we took the time to pre-sand a lot of these faces before assembly, all of these inside ones are done as well. The only thing we need to go through now is just take more of those sharp corners off. And so I do this by just basically periodically feeling the frame and feel where I can still feel those sharp corners, and then just take that off using exactly the same 240 grit method. You got to be careful with the corners, because if you're taking strokes back and forth along the edges, then the corners don't get quite as much attention compared to the middle of the component. And so when you're working in the corners, just do a few short cross grain strokes with the sandpaper to make sure that edge is adequately softened. So next we're going to grab this final piece that's remaining in the project pack, which will become the bottom shelf. Now firstly, this needs to be cut to length, and there's no particular right answer with this, it's just whatever length you kind of want. With this project pack, I've picked out a bit of a manky one, so it has got a chipped corner here, which I'm gonna cut off around about there. And I probably want it, to be honest, that's probably about the right length. I want it to end halfway along these uprights here. So we'll just cut that to length using the bench hook. And then I want to curve the end of these, so I'm just going to use the compass. Unlike last time with the pivot mechanism, in this case we're actually going to set it to the full width of the lower shelf. And if you just grab the offcut, pop that on there, you can then use that as support for scratching this curve around the end of the shelf. And obviously we're going to be chiseling this to shape, but I can help that a great deal by removing a lot of the material with the saw. Okay, and then as before, we're just going to work around that, shaping the curve with a chisel, and then blend it all in with sandpaper. Right, so now we've got a choice. We can either stick this shelf down now and risk a bunch of glue squeeze out all the way along it, which is going to be very difficult to remove on the top and the bottom, or we pre-finish everything so that when we stick this on and glue squeezes out, it will easily peel away. The only issue with that is if we pre-finish this face here and accidentally stick it onto the area that we need to stick this on, then the bottom shelf isn't going to stick effectively. Now, I really don't want to be cleaning up squeeze out all the way along this shelf. When I've made this in the past, that's exactly what I've done, and it has been an absolute pain. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-finish it all, but I'm going to be very careful to mask off this area where the shelf is going to be stuck. And so the way I'm going to do this, and I haven't done this before, so I'm hoping this works, is stick some blue tape along the bottom like this, where the shelf is going to be stuck. Pop the shelf on it, and then I'm just going to measure to ensure that it's central on there. Yeah. And mark a line at either side. And then I'm going to remove that and mark a line 2 or 3 millimeters in from that. So now these lines are technically underneath the shelf. Then I'm going to do the same with the up and down location. With this, you don't need to have it in the center of this bottom component. You can have it closer to the top or close to the bottom. I'm actually going to do it a bit closer to the bottom, probably about 5 or 6 millimeters away, something like that. And we don't need to mark all the way along this, just a little mark on the bottom and the top like that. And once again, we'll just go in probably 1 millimeter on this. So then these two lines will be underneath the shelf as well, or just about. So then now, if we get a marking gauge and set that to the lines that are underneath the shelf, we can then lock that off and then carefully run that along the blue tape up to the lines at either side. I just want to make sure it properly cuts through the tape here. Nice, so that's the bottom one done. Next I'll just move it and redo it on the top. Okay, and then we'll just carefully knife off either end. And then what we should be able to do is pull all of this away. Yes, there we go. And now we've masked off the exact area where that shelf is going to be, or at least slightly underneath it, so that we don't get any unfinished grain stick out around the shelf. And what's more, when we pre-finish this and we peel this off ready to stick this on, that's going to give us an unfinished area that we can use to figure out where exactly we need to stick this without having to measure it and everything. So I think that's going to work quite well. I think I'm also going to take the time just to mask the back of the shelf as well, where the glue is going to be applied, because I don't want to accidentally get any wax on this. So again, just put some tape on there, cut around the edge with a marking knife or a scalpel of sorts. This is another great use for our ones that we sell on our website, because they kind of cross over between being a marking knife and a craft scalpel. They do take a bit of practice to be able to do this and cut up against an edge without riding up it. But once you get that locked in, you can see they're really, really quick and easy to use. So if you're not convinced yet, hopefully that will be another reason to, well, convince you. And while we're in the mindset of cutting curves and things, we need to do exactly the same for the bottom of the back leg. Now at the moment, it's okay of a fit, but it's a little bit too tight. So we need to take a bit of thickness off here. Easiest way to do that is clamp it down to the bench like this, get a block plane and just take a few strokes off the thickness, and do this on both sides. You can do the whole thing and work it down evenly. I think that's going to be working against the grain there. Yeah, you can try and do this evenly, and it's probably worth doing if you need to take a lot of material off. But if it's just a few strokes like I'm doing here, you can probably blend it in quite easily afterwards. There we go. Yeah, that's a nice fit. They clamp as intended, so that's fine. And so now we'll just make sure that hole lines up through all of the components, mark the length on it, and then we're just going to cut that down and cut a curve into it. Right, so with everything sanded and before pre-finishing, it's worth going around and just feeling the entire book stand, often without looking at it, just to feel if you can identify any areas where there might be dents that you've missed or sharp corners that you forgot to soften. It's just a nice way of doing it to make sure that, well, you're ready to go ahead and pre-finish. So you'll do the same for the book stand, same for the bottom shelf and the back leg, and we'll just make sure the back of the bottom shelf has been masked off, as well as the area where that's going to be stuck. So to pre-finish the book stand, and in fact this will be the finish of the book stand as well, I'm not going to be adding anything to it, is, well, I'm just going to be using paste wax. Now realistically, paste wax on its own isn't the most durable finish, and it tends to be needed to, well, you tend to need to reapply it yearly. You tend to use this in combination with other finishes. For example, with oil, you apply oil first, let that dry, and then put wax on top of that. So then the oil soaks into the wood and the wax sits on top, and you sort of get two levels of protection. It can also be used on top of lacquers, it can be used on top of shellac, it can be used on top of all sorts. But once you've put wax on top of something, you can't really get oil on top of the wax or lacquer on top of it or anything else. This tends to be the final layer of finish. So on its own, it's not the most durable thing, but in the case of this book stand, you know, if we think about it, it's not going to have the same level of wear as a floor or a kitchen countertop or a piece of furniture. A book is just going to sit on here and every now and then be taken off and maybe replaced with a new one, or it will just sit there permanently as a decorative thing. So I'm not really worried about the lack of protection that wax gives. And in fact, the nice thing about wax is, firstly, this is a limited tools project, and so it's just one finish that's very easily accessible wherever you are. But also wax doesn't really impart much of a darkening effect on woods. It tends to sort of give them a wet look without any of the ambering effect that many oils will. So it will keep this cherry looking very neutral and light, which is quite a nice look. And it will also give the added benefit of resisting any glue squeeze out when we stick that on, which will make it much easier to remove. So long story short, the finishing is completely up to you. Just use whatever you have available. But I would definitely recommend applying a layer of wax before sticking on this bottom shelf, because it will help you clean up a lot of that squeeze out afterwards. It's also incredibly easy and low maintenance to apply. You just blob it on like that, you wipe it all over, and you can apply it quite thick because it's all going to be buffed off later. And that's lovely. I'm really liking how that's keeping it a nice light color. Because the other thing with cherry is that over time it will age and darken. And so if you put a darkening finish on it like oil or something, it's only going to get darker over time. But as always, just keep in mind that whenever I'm saying these things, a lot of the time it is just a matter of personal preference. If you like cherry that's dark and aged, like a lot of people do, then by all means go for it and don't take what I say as gospel. So you can see I'm applying this pretty carelessly. If you want to be stingy with your wax, then you can apply it a bit more carefully than I am here, but I do just tend to put lumps of it on and buff it all off later, just so I can be sure that it is all properly covered. So then once you've applied wax to the thing, hopefully quite liberally, you just got to consult the instructions on your particular brand of wax and just see how long you need to leave it for before buffing it off. In this particular case, it's 20 minutes, so we're just going to wait for that to pass. There you go. So then we'll just buff it all off with a clean rag. and you should feel it go nice and slick in your hands. And the nice thing about wax is you really don't have to be fussy with it. You know, I'm going to get a few fingerprints and stuff all over this, but you can just buff them straight out. It really is nice and easy and just the simplest finish that you can put on. But just keep in mind that it is not the most durable. So you have to be selective about when and when not to apply a wax finish on its own. So there we go, that's the whole thing pre-finished, and you know, it might look a little bit patchy here and there in places, but this is just the pre-finish. You can always go back and reapply more wax later as needed, but we just need enough right now to basically stop the glue squeeze out from this shelf. So it's going to go about there. We've actually got a nice outline left over from the marking knife and the marking gauges. So as long as we cover that up when sticking the shelf on, we should be nice and level on there. We should be at the right height. It's just quite a nice way of guiding everything. So I'm just using a little bit of Type Bond 2 on the back of the shelf. And even though we have means of cleaning up the squeeze out, I'm still not going to be too mental with how much I apply. I'm just going to pop a thin bead on like that, spread it out and make sure it's nice and thin on there, and then I'll just get rid of all this excess. Pick the side of the shelf you want to go up. I'm probably going to have that bit on the bottom. Okay, and then I'm just going to do some final locating just to make sure we have got it exactly where it needs to be. So there we go, we have got a little bit of squeeze out along the top edge and the bottom edge, but just try to resist the temptation to clean that up now, because you'll probably just end up scrubbing it into the grain. It's much better to let that harden, or at very least gel up, and then we can just get a chisel under it and peel the whole thing off. Right, so I've left that to dry for about 2 hours now, so this should be ready to come out. Now this glue isn't going to be at full strength just yet, so we do need to be careful, but it should be gummy enough for us to remove relatively easily. And what I'm hoping I can do is just get in here with a ruler and sort of get the end of the glue started. There it is. Yes. And then as long as I can grab that, I should just be able to get most of it off in one length. That was a nice chunk just then. Here it is again. Oh, and you see that glue just pops straight off because that wax is stopping it. Oh, it's a dream. Right, and then all we've got to do is pop the leg in the back here and have it with the curve facing inwards like that, so when it's adjusted it's always sitting nice and flat. Grab your hardware pack that should have come with the project pack. You get a choice of steel, black or brass hardware with this, and you're going to want to thread that through the holes. If you find they don't line up, you can always re-drill them, but in this case that is going straight through. Just get rid of that wax. Pop the washer on, pop the other wing nut on, and then there we go. That leg is locked, and there's your book stand. This is truly one of the best projects for beginner woodworkers, because as you saw, it can be made with very limited tools, and it gives you a brilliant introduction to basic joinery and layout principles. Not to mention the fact that you come out the other end of it with a genuinely helpful design that's good for books. You can resize it for tablets, and you know, it's one of those things that's really nice to just gift as well. And so if you want to make one of these yourself, consider purchasing a project pack from our website, which comes with all the pre-machined timber and the hardware you need to make this project. But if you've already got means of machining up that timber yourself, maybe consider grabbing yourself a marking knife or a screwdriver or something else from our website to help support these free videos. It really does go a long way. We're a very small business and we rely on things like that to keep these free videos going. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series, and we'll see you in the next one.